name is Maureen Lewis. Welcome to my channel Malu Stories, where I tell you about my experiences inside the classroom and outside. Did I tell you that I was a retired teacher? Well, I am. Although I'd taught a year, my first teaching job, as I've told you earlier on, that I taught English at a boarding school in the country. But this job now, the new job, I would teach history to grades 10 and 11. Now, I got the job at the end of August, and school would start in a few days. So I didn't have any time to prepare anything. Not much time to get ready to prepare. But luckily, I only had grades 10 and 11. So I only had 2 grades to prepare for. And although I knew a lot of history, but that didn't mean that I knew the specific history or in the detail that I needed to teach the boys. So I had to do a lot of research, So what I started doing was to look at my timetable, and in the evenings, if I could, I'd prepare a lesson for each class that I'd have for the next day. Or if I had enough time, I'd prepare for a few days in advance. But because it was so much, and I had so little time to prepare, it was really a struggle in the beginning. But little by little, I started to adjust. And I used to write down things on paper, and then sometimes I'd lose the paper. So what I started doing, I got a little exercise book, and I'd write down the topic that I'd teach, and because I'd use it for more than one class. And I say, let me put it down because I might need it in the future, So I started writing in a little book, and the book got bigger and bigger. And then instead of a little exercise book, I had a hardcover book where I had the things, and I started when I could prepare more, I would look at the syllabus to see what was coming next and try to prepare for those as well. So, after a time, my book became famous, and teachers and boys would borrow it, and, and I reached a stage where I didn't even need the book. I'd be passing, a boy called me and asked me a question, and I just stop and teach a class. After a time, it's like I was an expert at the thing, so, I didn't need to research so much. But strange enough, every evening, I prepare for my classes the following day because I did not trust my memory. On top of that, if you remember from an earlier video, I told you I was on the second shift, which started at about 1 o'clock. Now, it was nice that I didn't have to get up early in the morning, so I'd have some time at home. I'd live out of town, so I'd get up, I'd do some housework, some preparation for school. But coming to school, it was easy. It wasn't as hard as maybe if I had come in the morning. But in the evening, it was so much harder to get home because everybody was going home at that time. It might seem nothing, but if you are used to working in the day, it's very difficult to adjust to working in the evenings alone. So I had to get used to that. But there was an upside. I could listen to the 10-15 story before I go to work. And I tried to make the best of it. And after a time, it wasn't as hard. But by the time I was beginning to really get used to it, the school year finished and it was time to go on the other shift, which was another story. Because that time, I have to get up before day, and it was another struggle. But there were other things I had to adjust to as well, because in my time, you had the General Certificate of Education, the external exam, which was based in London. But when I started teaching, they were doing a Caribbean Examination Council, or the CXC. And that exam was divided into 3 parts, one of which was the SB, or the school-based assessment. So, of course, I had to adjust to that as well. And another part of that was multiple choice. And multiple choice questions are not as hard to answer as essay questions, but they're not as easy to set. And sometimes when you set questions, because you don't have the experience, you might set a question, you always ask yourself, what answer are you looking for? And many times the answer that you are looking for, there is always a boy who's going to find another answer, and you had to deal with that. A problem I had at first was that the lessons did not last the length of the class. I found that I came to the end of the lesson before the end of the class, And that is a very frightening feeling, because so what am I going to, first time, what am I going to do, what am I going to do? So I tried to recap, and then I'd ask the boys questions about what we had done in the class and all of that. And but I learned to deal with that, because I still, it's something that you learn. You don't just get it same time to have a full length lesson. So what I do, I always had something as a backup just in case. So I was able to get over that. Then of course I'm 5 feet tall, so I reach halfway up the blackboard. So I wrote a few things and had to erase and then write a few things on the middle of the board, come down again. Eventually I was able to solve this problem, because I got my own room and I found a bench that I would put behind my seat near the blackboard, and before the students came in, I would write the lesson on the board. So I just needed to point out from the top, or so I didn't have to write and erase and write and erase. And I divide the board in two, so that half would be around that side and half around the other side, just in case they finish those notes. I could erase one side and start again, but this time I'd have to go halfway down the board. But it was better than it was before, so I couldn't complain. That's some of the struggles I had as I started out in teaching at my new school, my forever school as I call it. And for like everything else, we learn to adjust. So until next time, please remember to like, subscribe, share. Bye.